Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of August. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US has struck another boat in the Caribbean, killing 4. The CIA director has visited Moscow for talks, and Canada is hitting back with tariffs on the US. So firstly, the US military carried out a lethal strike on a vessel in the Caribbean on 25 August, killing 4 people the administration described as drug traffickers. The operation extends a campaign that has increasingly used military force against alleged narco boats in regional waters near Venezuela. It further blurs the line between counter-narcotics law enforcement and direct military action across the Western Hemisphere. So what? Washington is likely to continue to keep framing these strikes as counter-narcotics to justify expanding their military activity near Venezuela. It does seem like they're trying to use these strikes as a way to threaten and coerce Venezuela. They did it in the build up to clearing out Maduro, and I haven't really heard about them happening since. I don't know if they have, and probably something I should have looked into, but yeah. Regional governments will likely condemn the strikes as violations of sovereignty and due process, much like the rest of the world. Not many countries around the world kind of agree with this. I think even the UK cut off sharing intelligence related to this type of activity purely because they didn't want to be involved in the US kinetic strikes. And a sustained campaign, a strike campaign that is, realistically draws the US into a wider confrontation with Congress. Yeah, I think this is I see it as like a pressure applying kind of activity. I don't really understand what they're trying to get out of them now. Maybe the Venezuelan government has moved away from what the US kind of wanted them to do. So the US is using this to try and draw them back into line. And next, the US media has reported that the CIA director traveled to Moscow for meetings with his Russian counterparts. The visit signals a rare direct channel between Washington and Moscow at senior intelligence levels while the war in Ukraine grinds on. Back-channel intelligence contacts have historically been used to manage escalation, arrange prisoner swaps, and quietly test negotiation frameworks. However, back channels are not the CIA director traveling there. Just for a bit of wider information here, the last time this type of visit happened, an unannounced CIA director visit, was in 2021 in the lead up to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. So it is a bit of a big thing. So what? It appears likely that this visit was linked to recent reportings around Russia looking at significant mobilization and possibly even the testing of NATO's resolve. It's possible that he was traveling there using recent intelligence to try and persuade Russia to take another course. The trip was very short-lived, though. There was reports he was back in Latvia merely hours later. So either it was a short conversation, as in don't do this, or it was kind of unsuccessful. It's possible we'll never know what this conversation was about, but it's likely the US had clear intel on an imminent threat of some kind. And lastly, Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on a range of US goods in response to trade measures imposed by Washington. Ottawa framed the move as a proportionate answer designed to pressure the US exporters and force a negotiated climb down. The escalation strains one of the world's largest trading relationships and threatens the integrated supply chains that bind North American economies. So what? I think this is highly likely to hurt Canada more than it is to the US, but they don't really have a choice at this point. The tariffs are likely to raise the cost for consumers and producers on both sides of the border. It seems Ottawa is likely targeting political sensitive US sectors to try and maximize domestic pressure on Washington. But a prolonged tariff exchange realistically risks slower growth in both economies before any negotiated settlement can be sorted out. It just seems a bit silly to me. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!